Great. Good afternoon and welcome to Allison Heimes, legislative candidate from District 39. Thank you, Allison, for joining us for our virtual legislative candidate meeting. My name is Gina Ragland, and with us today are lead AARP advocacy volunteers Susan DeCamp, Bob Lassen, and Mike Barwig. Emily Wick is also joining us from the AARP state office. Allison, we appreciate your taking the time to meet and discuss with us issues of importance to the 50-plus voter and their families in Nebraska. And as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be shared with AARP members across your district prior to the election. Allison, if you want to go ahead and start us off by giving us a little background about yourself and your campaign. And again, 5 minutes or less would be great. And once we have completed your opening, we'll move into the questions. So thank you again for being with us, and go ahead.
So my name is Allison Heimes, and I have always lived in Nebraska. I was born in Omaha, moved around Nebraska. I've lived in Scottsbluff and Lincoln, but then settled in Elkhorn. So I've been living in Elkhorn for 7 years now. I am married to my husband, who works for the National Guard full-time out in Camp Ashland, and we've been married for 7 years come this Sunday. Sunday's the 20th, right? So this Sunday. And then we have 2 kids together, Finn and Max. Finn is 4 and Max is 2. I am running for office because, quite frankly, out of a frustration for being able to get a hold of my representative. So about 3 years ago, my brother passed away from suicide. He was in the National Guard. And I wrote a bill that would provide burial plaques to National Guard service members. And I tried to reach out to my representative so that we could talk about the bill and how we could potentially introduce it. And I just couldn't get her to meet with me. I couldn't get her to take my calls. I did get one response to an email once that was rather rude and basically indicated she didn't have time to meet with me. So, you know, after meeting with some neighbors and friends who lived in the district, we talked about it, and a lot of them had tried to get a hold of her too and had the same sort of story. So after saying, well, somebody should really run against her a number of times, I decided, well, why not me? So I threw my hat into the ring then. Since putting in my candidacy, I have met with a number of different groups and organizations that have various agendas, but I decided that my top agendas were obviously mental health because of what happened to my brother. I would really like to see some great strides being made in healthcare in general, just access to healthcare for Nebraskans, and specifically programs for people who are suffering from mental health, because that leaks into all kinds of different areas, including the prison system and the schools. So that was a priority of mine. And then supporting public schools is really important to me, as my oldest is in public school now. He's in the preschool program at Blue Sage Elementary School, and he has an IEP for language delay. So making sure that all kids have the same access to the resources he's been given is really important to me as well. Parental leave policies on my agenda. I was almost fired when I got pregnant with my second child because I wanted to take a 6-week maternity leave. So I want to make sure that all parents have access to leave without risking their employment, so that they can be there for their kids and develop that crucial bond with your kids in those first 6 weeks. And then I can't think of a single piece of legislation that doesn't affect the budget in some way. So making sure that we have a balanced budget and that we have ideas for how we can bring in new sources of revenue into the state are definitely areas that I want to focus on as well. So hopefully that was 5 minutes. I'm opening it up to you guys.
Perfect. And before we go on, I want to offer my sincere condolences for the loss of your brother. Suicide is a difficult topic, and the wound never goes away. So I do personally offer you my sympathies for that. So moving into the questions, we have provided you with a set of 3 questions pertaining to the 50-plus in Nebraska. We again have allotted 5 minutes each for those questions. So question 1 is going to be read to you by Mike Barwig, who actually is a constituent in your district, and it will address helping people stay in their homes and communities. So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, hi. So I live in the Greenbrier area of Elkhorn. A livable community is one that is safe and secure has housing that is affordable and that no more than 30% of income is spent on housing, transportation options that allow individuals to travel by multiple means, and supportive community features and services for people of all ages, allowing people to remain in their communities as they age. What steps will you take to ensure that all Nebraskans have access to livable communities?
So the Greenbrier neighborhood is right behind mine, so you actually live very close to me.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll meet someday.
Maybe I've probably been in your neighborhood at least a couple times canvassing, but that's a really important concern. I can tell you that I've had you know, my grandparents, as they're aging, we've made it a priority in our family to make sure that they can stay in their home and that we don't put them into nursing home facilities unless it's absolutely necessary. My one grandfather had to go into a nursing home facility because he had Alzheimer's, and it just became too dangerous to take care of him ourselves. But he got excellent care there. I would say that ultimately it's about being able to afford to do that, making sure that people understand setting up retirement accounts very early. Education is crucial there. So you have to start with the younger generations to make sure that they start planning for their ultimate success later on, so that they can afford to take care of themselves. I think if we didn't tax Social Security, that would help. I can't say that that's like top of my agenda. I would like to see it done though. And I can say that we have prioritized some odd things in the legislature, including the Nebraska Advantage Act, which prioritized businesses, and only the top 1% got any benefit from the Nebraska Advantage Act. So it was quoted as only going to costing us $60 million. It ended up costing us $120 million. And that's about what we get from Social Security tax. We basically collected from Social Security and then gave it away. And so I think if we just rearranged our priorities, we could have saved there, because Social Security was designed to help people in their old age and people after they worked to retire and be able to take care of themselves. Beyond that, I would like to see, you know, Medicaid expansion actually continuing so that people can access health care. Maybe working with our federal representatives too on Medicare and making sure that nursing homes and long-term care facilities and in-home nurses are all covered under that sort of thing. There's lots of ideas in that area, but I really do believe that education early on and making sure that we save could help in this area too.
Thank you, Allison. And I think you had a good point there. And that's something too, the AARP in addition is you have to invest in your future. So again, teaching the young to invest in their future is very critical and important. And the work and save concept is very important. So we appreciate that. Our second question now will come from Susan DeCamp and address health, caregiving, and home and community-based care. So Susan, go ahead.
Hi, Allison. Thanks for being with us today. Caregivers help older persons live independently at home by providing assistance with activities such as bathing, dressing, and performing medical and nursing tasks, such as administering medication. Caregivers often provide these services with little or no training and oftentimes with little or no pay. So with that in mind, I have a two-part question for you. Will you support helping caregivers with things such as paid leave, respite services, telehealth, and access to education and training? And secondly, if elected, how would you protect or expand paid services and supports, as well as financial security that allows more seniors to live independently in their homes?
Okay, so I have a follow-up question. Are caretakers unionized?
No, they are not.
Okay, so I'm not sure the process for doing that, but I can tell you that I do support unions a great deal, and should caretakers create their own union, we could work together to sort of work out things like pay and leave and stuff like that. And I would absolutely support that, because laborers of any kind deserve financial security for the services that they provide. And I want people that are providing those services to be secure enough that, you know, they work to educate themselves in their craft and get better at their craft, so that they take care of my grandparents, so that they take care of my friends and my family. I don't want disgruntled employees taking care of my friends and family. So keeping them happy means keeping our loved ones safe. So that would be my first recommendation, is just getting them unionized. What was your second question? I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's fine. It was a long question. The second one is, how would you protect or expand paid services and supports, and then financial security to allow seniors to live longer in their homes?
I don't know that I have a specific answer for that yet. It's going to require quite a bit of research as to what the budget is in the legislature right now, especially after COVID, where we're at right now. I would love to work with my colleagues on making sure that our loved ones can stay in their home. I feel like as a society, we've sort of gotten away from individual family units taking care of their loved one in their age. And I would like to bring that back. And I think the hesitancy with bringing it back is, oh, I don't know how to take care of someone in their old age. I don't know how to administer medication. And so ultimate training in that area and getting people to come out. Those at-home nurses are absolutely wonderful people. They provide wonderful services. So maybe incentivizing people to go into those careers somehow. I'm not sure though. I'm really going to have to think on that more. I wish I had a solution just off the top of my head though.
Sure. I'm going to back up, and maybe I spoke too soon when I said no, they are not unionized. I'm speaking, when I say they were not unionized, it would be the people who provide caregiving without pay, such as taking care of your grandmother, you know, some relative or
as an individual.
There's a possibility, I don't know if any of you others know, like the nurses who go into home health care and come to the home, if they're actual nurses with home health care, they may have unions. I don't know. Do you know, Bob or Gina?
I think organizations, but I don't think there's any union,
Okay.
any unified way of going into it.
So thank you for your answer. And I do
Yeah.
like the union, you know, the creating the unions for caregivers. That's a great idea. So thank you.
Great.
So if you're referring more to individuals, I would say that we could create some sort of tax program that provides reimbursement for people who provide services. That would be a really good idea that I would be willing to look into. I can't imagine that it would be that much of a fiscal note for us. It's not like I really don't think that there's that many individuals that do it on their own. So I really think it's something we could accomplish.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Allison. And our third question today then is on nursing facility quality, and Bob Lassen is going to take that one. So go ahead, Bob.
Thank you for being here. An estimated 6,600 Nebraskans reside in one of Nebraska's 211 nursing homes. By 2040, the University of Nebraska Omaha projects that number will more than double to almost 14,000 people. Due to a variety of factors over the past few years, Nebraska has seen an increase in nursing facilities having to close, and subsequently the residents will have to be moved, relocated to another facility. How will you ensure that Nebraska residents receive quality nursing home care, including ensuring an adequate nursing workforce, education, training, and proper reimbursement?
Well, that's a tough question. I'm really thinking here because my brother is a doctor. He's a general practitioner, and before he went to medical school, he worked at a nursing home facility to get experience so that he could apply to medical school later on. And the conditions that he, described to me would have been really hard working conditions for anybody. So incentivizing people to go work at nursing homes, it's just a really hard job. You don't want to underestimate how difficult it is to do, and the empathy involved, and the free liberties that you don't want to take away from individuals living in the nursing homes. There's just a lot to consider there. as far as making sure that the conditions inside the facilities are staying up to date, I mean, enforcement of rules we already have in place would be wonderful. I'm not sure that we regularly check in on our nursing home facilities as often as we should to make sure that they're complying with rules that already exist. I would have to check in on that to be sure, but regular compliance with medical treatment center standards, and quite frankly, constitutional rights as well. But making sure that individuals that are living within a nursing home are also taken care of and happy and have a good quality of life is also really important. And there's just no immediate solution for something like that. I would really have to go into facility and talk to those care managers and ask them what they would like to see and what corrections they think need to be done before I could say anything about it. And I actually tried to get a hold of some care facilities before we had our interview today to try to talk out some of these issues. But I wasn't able to get a hold of anybody that was willing to talk to me about it or that had the time to talk to me about it before this was scheduled. So I don't have an immediate solution for some of those things, but I can say that individuals who are training to become nurses and doctors like to use nursing home facilities as training, and we could really incentivize more quality care by providing a discount or some sort of credit for student loans if we had people go in that way. So my brother told me that. So I think that was a good idea, but it warrants more research, of course.
Okay, one of the reasons that some of these facilities have closed in the last year and a half have been the low in reimbursement rate for Medicaid patients. And right now, the number that's out there is that Medicaid patients, the facility has to subsidize the actual cost to the tune of Medicaid fees like $36, and they estimate that it can cost up to $90, depending on the care that the individuals need. And so the reimbursement rates are really low. Would you support looking into reimbursement rates in facilities?
Yeah, absolutely, because you guys aren't the only one bringing up this problem. I think I just had a meeting with the Healthcare Coalition, which had representatives from every major healthcare group in Nebraska, and they all said the same thing, that Medicaid reimbursement rates were incredibly low and that it made it difficult for people to provide quality care to those people. So that is definitely something I want to look into because it affects so many people. And you don't want people not to be getting quality care just because they can't afford it out of pocket.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Allison. So we're now coming to the end of our meeting, and I'd like to offer you the final minutes to give any closing comments, thoughts, or items that you want constituents in your district to hear. Again, we have like 5 minutes remaining, so go ahead and you have the floor back.
Well, I just really appreciate that you guys were willing to meet with me today. There's so many people and so many groups in Nebraska who have issues that they deeply care about, and I would be lying to you if I said that I was an expert at all things. All I can claim to be an expert at is immigration, because that's what I do for a living. I'm an immigration attorney. But otherwise, I would say that once I'm in the legislature, my priority will be to make sure that I reach out to all groups that will be affected by any legislation that goes into effect, to make sure to talk to people about their opinions on a piece of legislation, their recommendations for changes, and really the issue that they're trying to fix and the heart of it. Because so many times we put Band-Aids on issues without actually treating the wound underneath. And so that's my goal, is to make sure that we are creating meaningful legislation that is meant to get at the heart of issues and to ultimately help Nebraskans, and do it in a way that is budget conscious so that we don't pass the buck down to future legislative chambers later to deal with the issues that we create now. So that's my goal. So I hope that you guys can support that, and you're welcome to reach out to me personally if you have any future questions or issues. My cell phone number is 402-580-3026. So if you want to reach out to me later, please do so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Again, Allison, for joining us today and taking the time to visit with us. We wish you the best with your campaign. And again, thank you for meeting with AARP Nebraska today. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.